evidence of just how dry it is now, and has been here in Nottinghamshire for weeks, is all around me. This is a nice shaded ride just outside of Warsop, but the trees are starting to drop some of the leaves because of the dryness, and in fact the sycamores that are lining here look incredibly poor. Anyway, it's not sycamore that I'm looking for today. I'm going further into the forest. There's a Buddleia in the forest tucked away, which is attracting quite some range of insects. This is very typical of how everything is along here. The larger trees are doing okay, but these younger trees, although they're only sycamore, so people won't be bothered at all about them, are struggling. A lot of them might not even make it. They're certainly going to defoliate a lot earlier than they would do, and I suppose that I'm not helping in that process. But it's not just trees like these young sycamores, it's the rest of the vegetation that's along here as well. It gives the impression, considering that we're only in the middle of July, just gone past the middle of July, but to look at all the vegetation, all the hogweeds along here, you would think it was late September or early October. Everything has been advanced with the good weather that we've had, although it's very nice to be out in. When it's really hot and dry, it shortens the life cycle and lifespan of many plants and also many invertebrates. Because of the lack of any sort of good nectar source along here, which there typically would be, the Buddleia that I'm going to find takes on greater importance. Although it's accidentally been brought in here, probably by a bird or something, there's one or two Buddleias turning up within the Sherwood Forest area, or at least the wider Sherwood Forest area, and they're proper magnets for invertebrates. And in conditions like this, the heavy scented flowers of Buddleia take on even greater importance to the local invertebrate population. Do you know, I'd completely forgotten just how nice this particular part of the forest is. This is an area known as Bradmer Hill, if I remember right, and it's the closest part of the forest to Market Warsop, where I live. Consequently, people like to park here that live in Market Warsop and walk the dogs here. It's a very popular walking route, but it's beautiful. It's very different to anywhere in the sort of the main area of Sherwood Forest. There's tall, sweet chestnuts and oaks, and there's the odd beech tree tucked in as well. It's a beautiful spot, as you can see. That's the way we're heading. But on a day like today, the shade of these trees keeps out a lot of the heat. It is going to be a really hot day today. So much so I've even brought some water with me. That's not like me at all, to be sensible. Well, I'm getting closer to where I want to be. This Buddleia is tucked off one of the main tracks in this part of the forest. Now, it's very different now, starting to get into the pine plantations area, but the pines, it's not just general pines here, a mixture of both coniferous and deciduous trees. Sometime all the pines will be removed, but starting to open up a little bit now on the ride. There's quite a few butterflies around. Butterflies will no doubt stop flying again as the day warms up. It's going to be really hot later, so I need to continue down there and locate this Buddleia, and that's where I'll be sat for an hour or two. well, I found the Buddleia that's surprisingly quite a way off the path. It's visible from the path, but it's a bit of a trek through the bracken to get here. Now, hopefully, this Buddleia will provide today's entertainment. In fact, it's almost like the stage for the stars of the show, which have yet to arrive, but I've got no doubt that they'll turn up. There's an assortment of butterflies. There's just seen male brimstone, there's large and small whites, and there's a peacock here. There's also the superb hornets mimicking hoverfly, Volocella zonaria, which is a real beauty of a thing. Hopefully I can get some footage of most of these things today. So it's a case of sitting down and waiting for the star of the show to appear. And there is the star of today's show. It's just quietly flew in. It's just near the top. And it's a broad-bordered beehawk moth. There was 2 here yesterday. What a beauty. And there's another beauty. There was 2 of these here yesterday, and that was a silver wash rotillary. Now, I don't want to get too close to these things, but there we've got silver wash rotillary nearest, and then 11 o'clock from that, broad-bordered beehawk moth. There were 2 broad-bordered beehawk moths yesterday, 2 silver wash rotillaries on here, and also hummingbird hawk moth. This could be quite some visit to a rather innocuous area of Sherwood Forest. It's quite something that now it's possible to see silver wash rotillaries in the Sherwood Forest area. Long may this butterfly be successful here. I say we've recorded egg laying, we being myself and Nick and Samantha Brownlee. But what a cracking butterfly. Just above, 3 feet above, there's a broad-bordered beehawk moth as well. Now these broad-bordered beehawks, must admit, I've never given them a thought that adults would still be out, but they were discovered yesterday here by Nick and Samantha Brownlee. And so my immediate thought was to stake them out. So they do fly between May and July, so there's still plenty of time. A lot of the larvae from the early ones that emerged are already pupating, but there's still eggs being found as well. Just amazing. The good thing about these is that they're very confiding. I never thought I'd get any kind of footage of this moth in Nottinghamshire. If only people knew what was in Nottinghamshire. What a stunning moth. It's hard to get lots of footage in one continuous loop of these because they're just so active. Not as active as hummingbird hawk moths, they are much more sedate. but it's great to see these around, and to be honest, you probably wouldn't stand much chance of seeing them if this Buddleia wasn't here. This is certainly bringing them in. It's like an invertebrate supermarket, it really is. Well, been amazingly lucky that I've not been here half an hour yet, I don't think. And 2 broad-bordered bee hawk moths have come in. If they're anything like hummingbird hawk moths, then they'll probably operate a feeding sort of regime of about every 2 hours. That's what hummers tend to do. And there was a hummer here yesterday, but whether that's sort of holding territory and will come in and feed, or most likely there's been another bit of an influx. I had one yesterday also at Wellow Park, but other things that are here are typical species that you'd expect. There's a small tortoiseshell peacock and comma. Silver-washed fritillaries appear to have gone for the moment, and there's large and small whites. Hopefully we can continue to get some better footage. Until the next one comes in, I'm going to plonk myself down under this silver birch and wait for the next one to drop in. These things are wonderful. They're so confiding. They're the least flighty of anything that's on here. Giving views like this down to a few inches. Good grief, it's at the side of my head. They're fabulous. God, it nearly flew into me there. This is marvellous. You probably can't understand the excitement that experiencing this gives. It's just ridiculous. It's nectaring with a brimstone. This is just the stuff of dreams for me, for years and years, for decades. And here's a butterfly that's just sneaked in amongst the excitement of silver-washed fritillaries and broad-bordered bee hawk moths. This red admiral's just arrived. There was one here yesterday, but I do love red admirals. They are without a doubt one of my favourite butterflies, and I suppose now they are technically a UK butterfly because they have started overwintering here in the past 20-30 years. It was something that wasn't done before because our winters weren't suitable. Quite often now it's the first butterfly many people will see early in the year, and in fact one outside our local co-op was mine in early 2022. But it's a beautiful species. The underwings are marked beautifully. There's a hint in the forewings there on the underside of what's to come when the butterfly opens those wings to reveal its fantastic upperside coloration, that jet black background colour, those splashes of red, that red bar on the forewings, a few dots of white and a hint of blue on the wingtips. There's nothing not to like about a red admiral. They are just stunning. Absolutely stunning. Just look at that. Beautiful. And here it is again. It's just flitted a few inches onto another flower. And you can see now the beautiful upper side. It is more orange than red really, I suppose, on the forewings. More red underneath. And there you can see the hind wings and the forewings together. And both upper side and underside. Really is a beautiful butterfly. whoever designed it had a good day when they designed this butterfly. What a stunning species it is. No matter how many times I see red admirals, look upon them as though I'd never seen one before. They're just absolutely stunning butterflies. And this year is a good year for them. It's a good year for painted ladies, and they're hatching out too, but painted ladies are quick to do a disappearing act. Red admirals will certainly produce another brood here. Long may they continue to do so, gracing our gardens and woods and parks with a beautiful species like this. Look at that. It's just incredible that I'm stood here in this small open area in Sherwood Forest, just by this single lone Buddleia. And yes, while many of you, the sort of elitist brigade, frown on Buddleias, would certainly frown on Buddleia being here, but there's lots of plants everywhere that technically shouldn't be here. But this one's providing a very valuable service. In fact, Silver Tiller is just probably out of shot. The broad-bordered bee-hawk moth's now just moved over there. It may well come back towards me. But if it wasn't for this single Buddleia being here, the Silver Tiller and the broad-bordered bee-hawk moths would be struggling now in the drought conditions where nectar sources are at a premium. This Buddleia provides that. If the authorities knew it was here, to be taken away immediately. And yet it's vital for both silver tiller, broad-bordered bee-hawk moth, and a whole host of other species. Just one Buddleia tucked in this part of the forest. There are a couple of others that have appeared recently in the last sort of 5-6 years elsewhere in the forest, but it's certainly not becoming any big problem, and it never will. But while it's attracting insects like this, I welcome it. But Sherwood's pretty poor for nectar. And broad-bordered bee-hawk moth might be working its way back round again. There's every chance it could come down on there. And they do fly from May to July. I'd not realised or had forgotten. I never gave a thought that adults would still be around. And then Nick and Samantha Brownlee found this Buddleia and found broad-bordered bee-hawk moth on it, hummingbird hawk moth on it, silver tiller, which tried to smack me in the face. And did you see it? Video evidence. Meanwhile, the star of the show is up there feeding away. What a pleasant couple of hours. Absolutely super. I've loved it. And now it's time to have a wander back. A slow, wheezy wander under those beautiful oaks and tall chestnuts.